An ordinary night outside Washington, D.C.'s Jewish Museum erupted into horror, confirming the prophecy that Stephen Miller delivered outside the West Wing. 2 Israeli diplomats lay dead moments before a planned proposal cut down by a gunman yelling "Free Palestine," now facing global outrage. President Trump's team is moving with lightning speed, condemning the slaughter and vowing unflinching retribution. Now, this wasn't random violence. This is homegrown terror fueled by political leaders who cheer, mobilize, disrupt and punish, and dismiss the rule of law. Witnesses saw a local radical turn a culture gathering into a massacre, exposing security holes and the lethal cost of incendiary rhetoric. How far has the contagion of hatred spread? Brace yourself for the uncensored truth. Now, are you feeling drained or foggy or not firing on all cylinders? Well, it may not be age, it could be sabotage on your dinner plate. One so-called health food can wreck testosterone, leave men sluggish, vulnerable, and spike stress hormones sky high. The experts behind Test Boost Max witnessed thousands recover once they ditched that food and added Test Boost Max. Muscle returned, fat vanished, energy roared back. No synthetic injections here, just 8 powerhouse natural ingredients that reclaim what bad habits stole. Want the food exposed and fix in your hands? Visit sculptnation.com/NNN right now and watch the free eye-opening video completely free. Now, we have to have this conversation. What happened last night, obviously, should never happen. But why did it happen? We're going to break it down. A peaceful cultural night near D.C.'s Jewish Museum shattered as gunfire killed 2 Israeli diplomats, exposing deadly security gaps and a climate of unchecked hate. Investigators say the slogan surged across daily U.S. protests this spring.
And guys, the couple.
And straight to a Fox News alert, an investigation underway after 2 Israeli diplomats are killed in a shooting outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C.
So the suspect, who's in custody now, could be heard shouting "Free Palestine" as he was being hauled away.
Right. And by the way, didn't try to get away. Lucas Tomlinson is in Washington with the latest. Lucas.
Well, good morning, guys. The couple worked at the Israeli embassy in Washington and were shot and killed at the Capitol Jewish Museum just a few blocks from the U.S. Capitol by a gunman who, as Lawrence just said, yelled, "Free, free Palestine."
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
How many times have you ever heard that? Right? On all the college campuses across this country. That is the rallying cry. Dreams forever stolen. Israeli diplomat Yaron Lashinsky, 30, carried an engagement ring for colleague Sarah Milgram. Minutes from life-changing proposal. Both fell to bullets. 2 heartbroken families now mourn across oceans, united by grief and outrage.
The foreign minister. People here in Israel are devastated, Brian. It is a disheartening act that happens in the U.S. nation's capital. I think everybody is just in shock. I got a call early this morning, Jerusalem time, from Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. She was at the scene. She gave me a brief on what was going on. I've spoken with the foreign minister. I've spoken with the the ambassador of Israel to the U.S., and to the father of the young man who lives here in Israel. The tragedy is that they were expecting to be engaged, to be married next week here in Israel. They had already bought the ring. They were coming to Israel to seal their engagement. And it's just a horrific tragedy, an act of terror, and another way in which we have to recognize Jewish people all over the world are being singled out for these kind of horrible attacks.
The war words echo. February 5th, Representative LaMonica McIver roared, "Shut down the city, we're at war," at an anti-ICE rally. That clip blasted through the shooter's X feed, investigators say, framing violence as civic duty and stoking lone wolf bravado we saw unfold in D.C.
We will not take this.
What does that say? We're at war? Really? The confrontation call resurfaces in 2021. Representative Maxine Waters urged Minneapolis crowds to get more confrontational. If Chauvin walked, the shooter echoed that line online. Proof reckless exhortations can reverberate for years and arm unstable minds with deadly certainty.
Black men. This is a very difficult time in the history of this country. Despite the fact that we know that people of color have been killed too often, unarmed young men, in particular black men, have been killed. We know that we're now coming to the end of the George Floyd trial, and that I suppose the closing arguments are going to be made on that case coming Monday. And we're really just almost at the beginning of what is happening with our young man, Dante Wright, who was killed, and that we have to persist in calling for justice. We have to let people know that we're not going to be satisfied unless we get justice in these cases. And so I just could not sleep. I could not rest. I could not be satisfied without.
You get the point. The protest call amplified. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker urged activists in April to mobilize, disrupt, and punish Trump policies. Investigators say that green lights rhetoric and surfaced in the shooter's manifesto, normalizing rage. It spilled bullets onto Constitution Avenue. Top White House aide says Pritzker's call for mass protests could be construed as inciting violence. President Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, cited assassination attempts and criticized the destruction of property as a protest tactic, saying it sits directly adjacent to attacks on humans. That article was written because I asked the question of Stephen Miller. He warned us in our West Wing chat. He torched Pritzker's mobilize, disrupt, punish call, saying Dem incitement would spill blood. Well, last night it did. 2 Israeli embassy staff shot dead. Direction and
have to take a few questions.
Stephen, Illinois Governor Pritzker just called for mass protests and disruption, saying Republicans cannot know peace, while Trump's border crossings are down 95% and ICE is locking up 800 criminals. Is Pritzker inciting insurrection, and will DOJ take action?
Well, what I would say is that his comments, if nothing else, clearly could be construed as inciting violence. So President Trump survived 2 assassination attempts against his life. Of course, there's been many more credible threats against President Trump and his family and associates. We've, of course, seen the spate of left-wing domestic terrorism all across this country. By the way, the destruction of property sits directly adjacent to attacks on humans and physical attacks. In other words, once you tolerate and once you allow for attacks on property, you're just a step away from people throwing Molotov cocktails into people's homes. And you've even seen some, I think one example of a formerly prominent Washington Post journalist who seemed to be celebrating the murder of a healthcare CEO, right? Health insurance CEO. And that's the point we've reached in this country, where people are engaging in rhetoric and behavior that puts the lives of public servants in danger, puts the lives of conservative Americans in danger. And so that's the first thing I would say. And then, of course, secondly, right, just this war that Democrat governors and mayors are waging against federal law enforcement. I mean, this is nullificationist behavior. This is successionist behavior, where this thing, they don't recognize the supremacy of federal law enforcement in terms of protecting the lives and livelihoods of American citizens against a foreign invasion. We've never seen anything like it. And of course, the result of their conduct is that they're allowing illegal aliens to go free and rape and murder their own citizens. So I can't imagine having a leader in a city or a state that would privilege the well-being of illegal alien murderers over their own citizens, but that's where we are right now.
Wider unrest. Earlier today at CIA headquarters, a woman sped towards the gate, ignored commands, and was shot before being cuffed. Langley was on lockdown earlier. A team is sweeping for threats from D.C.'s Jewish Museum to the agency doorstep. The violence Miller warned us about is snowballing. Why would this woman go to the CIA headquarters like that? Unity. Leaders respond. President Trump Netanyahu, Mayor Bowser issued a joint condemnation within hours, pledging unbreakable cooperation and new resources to safeguard Jewish sites, proving decisive leadership can still bridge oceans and party lines.
Obviously on anti-Semitism, the victims are Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. The embassy posted this photo of the couple who are supposed to be engaged, calling them friends and colleagues, and described the shooter as a terrorist. President Trump posting, "These horrible D.C. killings, based obviously on anti-Semitism, must end now. Hatred and radicalism have no place in the USA. Condolences to the families of the victims. So sad that such things as this can happen. God bless you all." The victims are Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram.
Candlelight crowds gather. Hundreds returned at dusk with candles, psalms, and free meals for mourners. Small businesses donated proceeds. Rideshare drivers ferried families. Terror sought fear, yet compassion flooded the plaza instead.
But yes, Bill, last night our U.S. Marshals were out here. Security has been increased in many places. We want our Jewish community to feel safe. Again, police believe right now he acted alone. But, you know, people out there see things and do things and just be vigilant and protect each other. And this world has got to be stop being filled with so much hate in this world. I mean, this was a beautiful young couple, and we have got to come together today, and we have got to support our Jewish community. Yes, Bill, last night...
Justice path clarified. Former Florida AG Pam Bondi praised the rapid multi-agency response, but urged evidence. I lost my place. Praised the rapid multi-agency response, but urged evidence-based prosecution to avoid collective blame. Hate crime enhancements are soon on the table once the U.S. Attorney convenes a grand jury.
Last night, and this is a pending investigation. What I can say is two beautiful young people were gunned down last night needlessly. You know, I saw his body being taken away from the scene. That was horrific. No parents should have to be called and told that their children were violently murdered leaving a religious event at the Jewish Museum. That should never happen in this world and not in our country. And this person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. As far as the facts in the law, Bill, we'll follow those. We'll follow those where they lead, but we will ensure everyone, America will be safe. We will do everything we can. This violence has to stop.
Alarming hate trends. ADL's 2024 audit logged 7,523 U.S. anti-Semitic incidents nationwide, 58% tied to Israel rhetoric. Analysts warn chants like globalize the intifada migrate from hashtags to handguns when political leaders wink at confrontational tactics. Nationwide guard up. U.S. Attorney Attorney Piro formed a task force with FBI, DHS, and Capitol Police to deliver a 30-day blueprint for hardening synagogues, embassies, and museums, adding grants for bollards, cameras, and active shooter training.
We will follow everyone in Washington, D.C., state, local, and federal agencies, and our great U.S. Attorney, Attorney Piro, who will be prosecuting this case. We'll be doing everything in our power to keep all citizens safe, especially tonight our Jewish community. We will follow the facts, we will follow the law, and this defendant, if charged, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Everyone in Washington.
And they were. So you want to stay informed daily of this breakdown, cut through the spin, smash follow, and ride with the Next News Network. Our White House hard pass creds let us grill power and bring receipts. Mainstream outlets bury. Stand united. Get truth nonstop. No disappointment ahead. So I think the overarching message here is really what, Stephen Miller said to me at the White House. That the leadership, Democrat leadership, has been so, they've been sowing these seeds for years and years and years. They're greenlighting these types of activities. They're looking the other way. Look what happened with Elon Musk and his company and all the Teslas that were destroyed. Innocent people, just because They didn't like what he was doing with Doge. I mean, did you hear any Democrats condemning that activity? No. In fact, Governor Pritzker comes out and says Republicans can know no peace. This is just another symptom of the major problem with the violent rhetoric that comes from the left. I mean, it all needs to end. It needs to be toned down. Everyone needs to be able to communicate, and calling for no peace leads to moments like this. And it's not just about the free Palestine thing. This is just one leg of this entire destructive apparatus. It's got to stop. It's only going to get worse. We just got to pray for peace and calm heads. Now, this massacre, it's more than heartbreak. It's the alarm bell that Stephen Miller rang about political leaders stoking rage for power. So here's the question burning on every patriot's mind. How long will we let calls to mobilize and disrupt and punish fester in our streets, on our campuses, inside our governments? How long? We want your uncensored take in the comments on this. What are you witnessing where you live? I want to hear your story. It's time to stand tall against lawless hate. Visit shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and gear up to show you are not just watching, you are standing with us. Every purchase becomes a statement. Every comment is a rallying cry. So share the story with your friends. Demand your representatives confront the rhetoric. Defend liberty. The agitators thought fear could fracture us. Well, they miscalculated. America stands together, unbreakable.